At the rate Celtic were moving, I genuinely thought we'd never get to talk about this. I thought the announcement would never come, but here we are. You might think that this P stands for Philadelphia Phillies because of the hat. No, no, no. It stands for P. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. The 25-26 campaign has officially begun, and I'll be here all year, from the start till the finish, to cover everything, the highs and the lows, and hopefully it'll be far more highs. So go down below, hit those buttons. Celtic have confirmed another signing in this summer window after a long wait. Simpson-Pusey has finally signed for Celtic. The club announced that on their social media channels this afternoon with the statement, "We are delighted to confirm that Simpson-Pusey has joined Celtic on loan until the end of the season from Manchester City. Welcome to Celtic, Jamai." Of course, that comes as no real surprise after a week or so of speculation starting last Sunday, and then of course him being at the Celtic game this past Sunday in the full gear and everything else. But people were starting to get concerned. They were taking their time. The fact that it's taken till Tuesday afternoon after he was spotted in Glasgow apparently on Friday. Yeah, it was a long turnaround, and people were starting to get a little bit anxious and questioning Celtic's ability to communicate properly with the fans after the wait to announce it. So Celtic did release a full club statement on the website saying that Celtic are delighted to welcome Simpson-Pusey on a season-long loan deal from Manchester City. The 19-year-old captained Manchester City's under-18 side to an FA Youth Cup final victory in 2024 before making his first appearance for City's first team against Celtic in the USA last summer. So for all the trivia heads out there, and for people who like the fun wee quirks and facts around Celtic players, there you go, an interesting fact for you there. Last season he was captain of the under-21 side, who went on to clinch a Premier League 2 title while becoming the first defender to be named as Premier League 2 Player of the Season. After joining Celtic, he will wear the number 4 jersey, and he spoke about his delight of joining up with the team. So the player's comments from him himself, he said, "It's great to be here. It's such a big club, and I'm happy to come here and play in front of the fans and play for this team. This is a big opportunity, and I want to come here to show my talent and my levels. It'll be good for me to come up and hopefully win the league again and do well in Europe." So Brendan Rodgers also added comments to it as well. He said, "I'm really pleased we've been able to bring Jamai to Celtic, and I believe he will be an important quality addition to our squad. He's quick and a dominant centre half. He's a strong defender but can also move the ball very well as we progress through the pitch." I know he's excited about this move. Bringing him to the club creates even more competition, which will only benefit us, and I'm sure he will settle in well with the squad as we get ready for the matches we have coming up at home and abroad. So Brendan Rodgers seems pretty happy with this signing. I feel like this is exactly the sort of mould he wanted in a centre-half this summer. By all accounts, I don't think Celtic are done in the centre-half market. I think we could maybe see another player come in if reports are to be believed, but I think Simpson-Pusey certainly offers, as Brendan's already said, another player for competition in that back line, and we might see him as early as this weekend. So yeah, young, lot of potential. The fact he's only coming in for a year is frustrating to many. We're developing someone else's player, probably without much scope to sign him permanently next year, should things go well. But yeah, if we're talking about, if we're trying to just isolate the fact that we're improving the team here and now, he certainly does that for me, and I'm excited to see what he can bring to the Celtic side. As for the player himself, I feel like we have covered it extensively, and I'm not going to waste too much time talking about his profile and his attributes, because we've done that over the last 10 or so days. But yeah, I think he will be good for us. I think the biggest thing is now it's time for Celtic to get moving. It's time for Celtic to really make a statement throughout the next few weeks of the transfer market before it shuts, because we need to. And if we don't, a lot of fans will be rightfully unhappy. The fact that it took so long to announce this is already getting people in the mood to really critique what we're doing as a club, and I can understand why. So the club need to look at this frustration that is building and realise that if we don't act, and if we don't act fast, we will have a bit of a situation on our hands between the relationship of the club's board and hierarchy and the fans, as there always tends to be. But this time, I feel like it's really starting to build. And the fact that this took so long, I think, isn't just down to the fact that this took its time. I think it's more to do with the fact that fans just don't have faith or belief that the club are doing enough behind the scenes to be ready for the next signing or to work towards the next signing. And there seems to be a belief amongst the Celtic supporters that the club is just simply incapable of doing two things at once. And that certainly seems to be the vibe we're getting this summer. So, yeah, Brendan Rodgers has begged and pleaded essentially in front of the media that he needs more, and if he wants to stay on as Celtic manager, he needs more. So now it's the time for the board to really back that. And these next few weeks of massive money has to be spent. This is, may I remind you, another player that's came in for no fee at all, essentially. We don't know if there's any hidden loan fees involved or covering of wages, but if there is, it'll be on a minor scale. There's no transfer fee attached to this signing, as he is only a loan player with no option or obligation to buy. So fans want money spent. Fans want to see the money that we invest in the club being invested back into the team. And it's a big few weeks. Let's calm the minds of the Celtic supporters and let's give those who are still in a huge state of doubt a reason to believe. I'm still at a point where I believe things will be fine come the end of the window, but I am tedious. I'm growing tedious. I am growing concerned. And as I said in my video the other day, my main concern as of now is to do enough to keep Brendan Rodgers. I want him to stay, and risking losing him is just, I'm not even going to get started on it. So I want the club to get backed, I want the manager to get backed, and I want us to move forward after this signing. So, worryingly, there isn't a lot of names being linked with Celtic at the moment. Now that Simpson-Pusey has came and gone, and he's now a Celtic player, we're back to square one, and we're back to wondering who's next. But one player who has been linked with the club quite extensively these last few weeks has, of course, been Breum of Go Ahead Eagles. Now, Celtic have allegedly had 3 bids rejected for the player, and things have sort of went quiet this past few days. It doesn't seem like Celtic are going for him with the same intensity that they were originally. But an interesting point that seemed to come out of the Dutch media this past few days is that maybe Celtic are dodging a bullet and he isn't ready for Scottish football or football outside of the Netherlands altogether. Now, these quotes come from Dutch pundit Kees Kwakman, who is a former player, of course, played the majority of his career in the Netherlands, now a pundit. He said that he needs to go out and find the physical programme of other players like Ruben van Bommel, because he's put on a lot of muscle this last summer, and that Breum could do with that too. He'll never be a physically strong player, of course, but he can still improve. And if you combine that with a full year of playing for Go Ahead Eagles, including in Europe, then I think he will be ready for the next step. He's so small, and he's good for the Dutch league, where you can play with that sort of stature in your game, with a nice bit of play between the lines, being clever and so on. He's a beautiful footballer, but when you see a footballer play at a higher level, it's different than it is in Holland. So just to break down essentially what he said is, he should stay one more year with Go Ahead Eagles. He should improve as a player. He should certainly improve physically. And then he'll be ready for the next step. A good player, but not ready to leave Holland yet. And that's the assessment of a Dutch pundit. Now, don't get me wrong. That is the assessment of one man. You can only take it with a pinch of salt. It's one man's opinion. But I think it would probably be sort of a realistic assessment of the player when you look at his physical profile and you look at his style of play. Maybe he isn't ready for the step into Scottish football, to Champions League football with Celtic, and he needs another year or two of development. So it's an interesting thing to hear being said. However, talented player. Does Celtic want to get ahead of the curve before other teams do? I don't think we should let one pundit throw us off that, but it is just food for thought, and something that might turn some fans off of the player, because we know that Celtic fans are pretty vocal about the lack of physicality in this team. And, you would see Nicholas Kuhn get it tight. You see Yang getting it tight when they're not physical enough. You see James Forrest get it tight over the years when he's not physical enough. Are Celtic in a position to bring in one more player like that? Some fans would maybe say no. So, once again, one man's opinion, but it's interesting it's been brought up over these last couple of days, especially after the player himself spoke about the possibility of a move. Breum was asked about a move by ESPN and he said, only time will tell. There is a month to go, so we'll see. But as long as I'm here, I'll give everything for this team every single time. I think I have a really important role now that key players have left and other players will have to step up. So it sounds like he knows he might be staying with Go Ahead Eagles this summer, if I was to be completely honest about it. But he's not ruled out the possibility of a move. So if Celtic get desperate, who knows? Maybe we'll pay the 5 or 6 million euros they want. But for now, it looks as though he's staying put at Go Ahead Eagles. Very quick update about a couple of young players at Celtic who have moved out on loan capacity. First of all, Ben McPherson, who featured quite a bit through pre-season for the side. He's joined Partick Thistle on a season-long loan, so he'll be at Firhill and will link up with former Celtic player Mark Wilson, and also Mitchell Robertson, part of the Celtic B team. He has joined Inverness Caledonian Thistle on a season-long loan as well. And final bit of news very quickly, in case some people have missed this and they're relying on the dates and kick-off times for transport reasons, etc. The kick-offs have been confirmed for Celtic's European qualifier, the playoff round of the Champions League qualification, which will either be against Slovan Bratislava of Slovakia or Kairat Almaty of Kazakhstan, while the first leg will be played at Celtic Park on Wednesday, August 20th, with the usual European kick-off times. That will be the first leg, of course, and then the return leg, either in Bratislava or Almaty, will be played a week later, or just less than a week later, on Tuesday, August 26th, which is the game before the derby. Keep that in mind. So there you go. Those are the dates for those games, in case you were wondering, and hopefully it'll be a couple of good games for Celtic. Right, that does it for today. If you've enjoyed, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. Sort of quiet day, so apologies for a little bit of boredom in today's video if you felt that. But sadly, I can't help it. If you've enjoyed, as I said, go down below, hit those buttons, and I'll see you all next time.